The smell of burning paper. That is how I discovered my sister had betrayed me. At midnight, a candle fell on a stack of old letters in the hall. I ran. One letter burned and I found a photo inside. The photo showed me kissing a man I did not know. How could this be? I remembered my hands in his hair, the tight grip, the wrong face. I did not know his name. He smiled. He looked like my groom. Suddenly, my sister laughed in the doorway. She pointed and said, "You kissed Diego's brother." I felt my throat close. The next morning I woke at the wedding chapel with a flower in my hair. The groom held my hand, but his face was not my love. Who was the man I kissed? The ceremony started. I had to walk down the aisle. The secret was a lie ready to break us all. My name is Carmen. I tell this story in the first person. I loved Diego. He was my bodyguard and my best friend. He had dark hair and calm eyes. He watched me at every event. He walked me down the aisle the day I said yes to a plan. My sister, Anna, made a plan to save our family money. She told me to kiss a brother at midnight. She said the kiss would create a rumor. The rumor would stop a forced marriage with a rich man my father chose. Anna said, "You must kiss the wrong brother tonight. This will scare him. He will leave the city." I wanted freedom. I trusted Anna. I agreed. The brother was a quiet man at the hotel. He looked tired and polite. I walked to him slowly. We kissed in a shadow by the piano. I felt his breath. I felt wrong and yet safe. I pulled back and asked his name. He did not answer. He only looked in my eyes with a strange fear. I thought the plan worked. I thought Diego would be safe. At dawn the hotel bell rang. A man in a suit came to my door. He said, "You must come. The wedding. Now." I grabbed my dress and ran to the chapel. The guests sat in silence. My father nodded. My sister smiled too wide. I tried to find Diego. He was not at the front. The man beside me before the aisle took my hand. He said, "I am Pablo." I froze. Pablo was the brother I kissed. I whispered, "Pablo?" He smiled and bowed as if he had a script. My heart beat fast. I saw Diego at the back of the room. He looked at me with pain. He held a small bouquet. He did not move. How could a kiss become an engagement? The priest said, "If anyone objects," my voice wanted to shout, "Stop. This is a mistake." But my mouth did not move. I swallowed my fear and stepped toward the groom. The reception would begin in 1 hour. Anna clinked a glass and made a toast. She said, "To new life and new names." I wanted to run to Diego then. But someone blocked the door. The guests watched. I felt trapped. The old letters in Anna's bag burned that night. I did not know then what they held. The ceremony moved forward like a boat with one oar. I knew a crack had opened between me and Diego. A new problem was at the center of my life. Who chose Pablo? Why did he act like a groom who already loved me? The first bite of the story was only the start. My name is Carmen. The reception was full of light and low music. Guests laughed. Glasses shined. I ate little. My mind ran in circles. Diego sat at a corner table. His hands shook. He pushed food away. He watched me but did not come near. Pablo stood with my family. He made jokes and he knew all the names of my cousins. He behaved like someone who belonged. Later, Anna pulled me outside the hall. She had a cigarette and a small camera. Her eyes were sharp. She said, "I told you this would work." Her voice was calm and cruel. I felt the truth like a cold stone. I said, "Anna, you lied to me. You made them believe I was engaged to him." She smiled and said, "It is better this way. Pablo has money. He will keep us safe." I wanted to throw the cigarette away and shout. Instead, I ran to the garden. I sat on a bench and looked at the flowers. The moon was thin. My phone buzzed. It was a stranger number. The message had one line: "Do not trust Anna." My hand froze. The stranger wrote again, "Meet me. Midnight. Old Chapel." I thought of the burning letters. I thought of the photo. I wanted to know who took the picture. I wanted to know why Pablo acted like a groom who already loved me. I left the reception. I walked past the cars and the white arch. The old chapel was small and dark. I opened the door slowly. Inside, I found a man on a chair. He had the same face as Diego. He looked older by a few years. He said, "You need to see this." He handed me an old watch and a torn page with words and a date. The date was a year ago. The watch ticked backwards. I touched it. It felt warm. Then everything went dark. I woke at midnight in my bed. The whole wedding day started again. The chair, the toast, the kiss at midnight, all repeated. I had entered a loop. I could change things. I ran to the hall faster this time. I searched for the camera. I stopped Anna in the kitchen. I told Diego to come near. He listened now with a caution I had never seen. The watch brought me back to the first kiss. I could change the angle. I could choose the right brother. But each choice made the loop stronger. Each time I tried to save Diego, I made new lies. I learned small details. Pablo limped when he walked. He always smelled of lemon. He knew the hotel manager's name. Diego kept a coin in his coat. The loop taught me little facts. I used them. I planned to make the next midnight kiss mean nothing. But then someone touched my shoulder. A voice said, "You cannot run from a family plan." I turned. The kitchen door was open. The camera was on the floor. The same photo lay near it. The loop wanted me to find the truth. Could I break the loop and keep my heart with Diego? My name is Carmen. I learned to use the loop like a map. Each repeat gave me a new chance. I watched faces closely. I watched how Pablo moved his hand to his pocket. He always touched a small paper. I watched how Anna looked at Diego with a soft anger. One loop, I followed Pablo into the back alley behind the hotel. He met a woman with a red scarf. They spoke in low voices. Pablo gave her money and a ticket. I wrote the ticket number on my hand. I ran back and changed my plan. At midnight I did not kiss Pablo. I walked past him and pretended to be sleepy. I found Diego with a coffee cup outside. He held the coin I knew he carried. He smiled when he saw me. I tugged his sleeve and whispered, "Can you help me?" He nodded. He wanted to stop the plan too. Together we opened the hotel manager's office. Inside was a small box. The box held letters and a contract. The contract had Anna's name and another name, Pablo Vargas. The words said Anna would get money when Carmen married Pablo. The contract was signed a year ago. My hands shook. Now I knew the scheme. Anna sold my future to Pablo. He agreed to act like a groom for a price. But the loop held more. In another repeat, I found a second photo. The second photo showed Pablo with another woman at a clinic. The woman looked like someone who once loved Pablo. The photo had a date and a hospital stamp. I felt the truth push at me. Pablo did not know how to love. He knew deals. Diego loved me but could not leave his job. He feared his family. I had to choose a plan that saved Diego and exposed Anna. I placed the contract on the table at the reception. I made a copy with the phone. Then I walked into the hall and announced, "I have something to show." All eyes turned. I spoke with a calm I faked. I said, "This is my wedding and I will not sell it." I showed the contract and the photo. Gasps filled the room. Diego stood up. He said, "Carmen is right. We have been fooled." Pablo's face lost color. Anna's smile cracked. She stepped back and whispered, "You ruined everything." Guests murmured and the priest asked for calm. The hotel manager ran in and confirmed the signatures. Pablo tried to speak but his voice was small. Diego came to my side and took my hand. He did not feel like a bodyguard now. He felt like a man. The loop did not end yet. A new alarm sounded. A guest shouted that a call came for a dead man. Time leaned forward. I had one more repeat left. If the truth stayed, maybe the story would stop. But someone in the crowd said two words that froze me. Wrong brother. Pablo looked at his brother in the crowd. The man in the jacket was not Diego. He was the brother I kissed first. I had kissed the wrong brother again. The loop was cruel. Could truth break an old family plan? The last repeat would prove it. I had to act. The chapel doors opened. Steps came close. I saw Anna at the doorway with a paper in her hand. The paper burned slightly at the edges. She smiled at me like a victor. I felt my chest tighten. The cliff hung before me. Would I save Diego now, or lose him to the wrong brother once more? My name is Carmen. The final loop brought everything to a stop. I used the facts I learned. I walked to Anna in front of everyone. I asked her to read the contract out loud. Anna tried to refuse. The priest waited. I said, "Read it now." Her hands shook. She read the words about money and a staged engagement. Guests listened. Pablo's brother stood and admitted he played a part to help Pablo get money. He said he was sorry. Diego spoke then. He said, "I love Carmen. I did not leave because of a plan. I left because I wanted to protect her from pain." He knelt and offered the small coin. I saw truth in his eyes. The loop stopped at that moment. The watch on the old chair broke and fell silent. The burned letters were found, and Anna could not hide the proof. She cried and left the room. Pablo left too. Diego and I stood in the aisle together. He was not my groom by a false plan. He was my choice. The guests cheered, but I felt quiet. I learned a lesson that night. Love is not a rumor or a fee. Trust grows in clear light, not in secrets. Families can hurt us and also heal us. If you find a lie, say it in a calm voice. Find small facts. Repeat until you see the truth. I forgave my sister slowly, but she must rebuild trust. I chose Diego. We walked out into the cool morning. I kept the coin in my pocket as a memory. I will tell this story to my future child. Do not let others decide your vows. A secret can burn like paper, but truth can stop the fire. The wedding ended, but the lesson stayed with me forever.